Most men and women will grow up to love their servitude and will never dream of revolution. Welcome, champions, to another episode of Champion Reads, the book club, book discussion group, the mind-opening, we hope, group where we discuss the best books out there, how they apply to our lives. This isn't really a review of books, but this is kind of a, what can we learn from these books? How can we apply these things to our lives? What do they mean to us? Have we applied them to our lives? Champion Reads is brought to you by Champion Circle, the accountability and acceleration group helping you achieve your goals, achieve anything in 90 days. Champion Circle was founded by our co-host today, Mr. Jon Kovach Jr. And I am the other co-host, Mr. Ian Stermer. We are today, actually, I should go back, find out more about Champion Circle at mychampioncircle.com, where we have online meetings and mastermind groups and roundtables and just a lot of resources to help you achieve more in your life, focusing on a lot of entrepreneurship as well as personal development. Now, today in Champion Reads, we are finishing up our discussion of a book which is a bit different from what we usually do. This is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Brave New World, if you are just joining us or have not heard or read this book before, first of all, you should go out and get a copy and read it. It is definitely going to be in all of your libraries, and your used bookstores are probably going to have a good copy of it. And of course, your Barnes and Nobles and Amazon, and support your local booksellers as well for this book. This is just one of the classic books out there. There's a few books which define the future and what we think the future is going to be. This is one of those books. And to me, this is one of the most important books written about what the future is going to be. Real quick recap, if this is your first time coming in, this is written around the birth of communism and as that was growing up. And it really takes a look at communism and the Industrial Revolution and how can we create a perfect society, a perfect world, by getting rid of individuality? Now, that's kind of a sore point, I think, for us as entrepreneurs. We like individuality. We like the ability to create something, to make something new. The quote I started with, most men and women will grow up to love their servitude and will never dream of revolution. It's so easy to desire to be comfort, desire to have stability, and we give up our freedom for that. And this book really examines that through the character of Jon, who is the savage, not to be confused with Jon, the mastermind creator and global speaker and many best-selling author, Jon Kovach Jr. In the book, Jon the Savage was raised in the Savage Reservation and came over to this perfect society and really struggles. There's no more individuality. Everyone is the same, to the fact that in this book, these are, they make sets of twins. They call them twins, but there's like hundreds of really kind of clones that are designed and trained for one specific purpose and then conditioned to be happy in that purpose. So they're not forced into a position to be a mechanic. They are trained from before they're born through hypnotic suggestion and things to love being a mechanic. So in this book, everyone is happy. everyone is given complete happiness. But we discover in it that maybe that's not what happiness is. So, where is that line between happiness and comfort and knowing your purpose and creativity, desiring more, wanting to make something, wanting to stand out from the crowd? And I'm going to turn it over to a man who definitely stands out from the crowd, and with his creativity, Jon. How does that fit in? What is that? Where's that balance of creativity versus comfort and satisfaction in being the round peg in a round hole?
Thank you for the introduction on that, Ian. And by the way, to those watching the video feed, I am sporting the Johnny Bravo haircut today. My hair is all over the place, but yeah,
I'm not sporting a haircut today, so
your hair looks very well cut. Yes, well
oh,
done.
thank you.
That's a bald joke. Yeah, this topic, man, I love this because there are societies across the globe who all seek this type of happiness. They seek, a world where they don't have to worry about, certain things. And for some people, that's like all they want. They just want to like wake up, be happy, go to work, be happy, come home, be happy, do what they do, be happy, and not have to worry about certain things. And you know, what the what the world tends to think is like a socialist type government is a communist type government where it is like that, and someone who controls everything, so that there's nothing to really worry about, but you can just go and live your life. Most people kind of lump the two into one, but there's stark differences. But not to go down a political route, because that's not what this show is all about. I am one to believe, period. But let me finish that sentence anyways. I am one to believe that if we do not have the availability of creativity within our world, we would feel so unhappy and so stuck and so purposeless. And I feel that way because of my own upbringing. However, I do know some people in my life who feel the opposite, and that's okay. Like this is opinion based podcast, right? But when it comes to like purpose, most people who I know, whether they work a 9 to 5, whether they're in the corporate world, or they work for a small business or whatever they do, right? Whatever they do, they oftentimes feel bound by their work because the necessity to work to make money, so that we can have a life is a very, very interesting life and concept. So I know I'm kind of off the rails here with what you're asking, but I really do think that, like, and maybe we start the discussion here, Ian, is like, I think that we have to have creativity. I think we have to have the ability to make something new or to have new ideas. And I think that in particular drives people. But to the book's point of view, like no one was in suffering at some point because they had everything they needed. But I think that this is like a really, really great way to look at the world and say, look, if you had everything you needed, would you truly always be happy? Or would there always still be missing that ability to use your creative parts? And I'll dial back to the caveman theory. I brought the caveman theory up again. I do it a lot on the podcast, but the caveman theory is you have to learn to leave the cave to survive. You can't stay in the cave because there's no food in the cave. You've got to learn to leave the cave. You've got to learn how to kill your food and drag it back to the cave and eat it and survive. And that is, I mean, whether you believe we came from chimpanzees, cavemen, or we were dropped on this earth by a god, right? No matter what you believe. But if there was an evolutionary process to this, we innately look at surviving as our daily whatever it's called. A dog has, I forgot what it's called. I forgot the word. My brain's still waking up too, guys. Good morning.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking for is like the innate sense of being and doing and acting. And I forgot the word, but it'll come back to me. Anyways, the long story short is that we were sort of designed that way. And in order to learn and figure things out is a creative sense. We have to stop looking at learning and hardship and getting better at something and like going to the gym and getting stronger. Like we got to stop looking at all those new things that we do to better ourselves as things that are hard. And we got to start looking at them as like, no, this is what we were built for. We were built to grow. We were built to learn. We were built to take on new things. And then the last thing I'll share is, and then we'll go back over to Ian and we can continue with the right part of this conversation, is I watched a video. You know me, I pretend to be a scientist. And I watched a video of what happens to the brain, what happens to brain cells when you're learning. And the brain was like literally like gleaming, like it was like beaming like a light, but then it would rapidly increase its beaming, and then it would start to move, and then it would connect a broken chain of another brain cell. So the brain cells are like these light bulbs of energy. And then when you're learning, when you're trying new things, it's literally beaming, and then it moves until it beams and connects with another cell and makes that connection. And all of a sudden you're building a web of connection. So for me, again, I've derailed this so much, but what I love is this idea that I think humanity was designed to be creative, to be different, to go out on their own way and to build things and to make things their own and to learn and to fail and to do all the other things too that come with learning. But I truly think we'd be purposeless without the ability to be able to create on our own. So bring us back on track, Ian, but I'll pass it to you.
Yeah. There's a word you used at the end of that, fail. Yeah. And fail is a key component of this book and of life. And I want to read just a little quote from this book, again, from the character John the Savage. I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. I want sin. And one of the other characters, in fact, you're claiming the right to be unhappy. All right, then, I am claiming the right to be unhappy. And I think that's just a key concept about this book and entrepreneurship and life, is the right to be unhappy. If we want to grow, we have to go through pain to do that. You're an athlete, John, so you probably know this better than me, but if you want your muscles to grow, if I understand this correctly, when you are exercising, you are tearing apart your muscles so that they regrow together stronger. Yeah. If you want to be comfortable and you sit on your most comfortable chair watching your most comfortable TV set, how good are you going to get to be at the high jump?
I'll get really
not very good, right?
Yeah.
Without the pain of failing, of trying, of hurting, we can't grow. And going back to the biblical story of the Garden of Eden, everything is perfect. There's nothing there, but there's no growth either. You're in comfort, but there's no chance there's no learning, there's no growing, there's no becoming better. And again, not going into a religious philosophical discussion, part of that concept is they sinned and left the Garden of Eden so that they would then have a chance to learn and grow. We do that same thing in life. Many of us, I know, without going into your backstory, John, you had a nice, cushy, comfortable 9-to-5 job, and you suddenly said, hey, I'm not growing, this is not where I want to be, and you left that Garden of Eden of a steady paycheck to go into the cruel world and make your own way and have pain and have suffering and be unhappy so that you could find happiness. And I think that's so much what this book is about in entrepreneurship. Yes. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to have a problem. Don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to be unhappy, because that's the only way you're going to be happy, is if you allow yourself to be unhappy as well. They have to go together. You can't eliminate all the challenge, give yourself all the happiness, and you won't be happy. I think that's the bottom line of this book. You can't be happy unless you allow yourself to be unhappy. And that includes letting yourself fail and learn and grow and become stronger and move on from there. So I'll turn it back to you at that point.
Yeah, we wouldn't know happiness without failure. We wouldn't know happiness without darkness, right? Because it has to have a contrarian view. Like you wouldn't understand happiness without despair or sadness, right? And that in and of itself is just evidence of us needing to find more happiness by searching for it, creating it, building it, surrounding ourselves with it. That is pretty interesting. But in the pursuit of life, liberty, and freedom, happiness is definitely a choice, but it's also something you get because you've experienced things that do not make you happy. Now, we kind of assume that everyone knows what happiness is, and we probably assume that it's like, well, it's the holidays right now, so what is happiness? It's joy, it's laughter, it's giving, it's nostalgia, it's a warm cup of hot cocoa over a fire, singing carols, and all the fun, bubbly, awesome stuff, right? All that stuff. But happiness is to each their own, right? I might be on the air here and always smiling and chatting with you guys, but you never know what behind the scenes, like, what am I not happy about, right? What is keeping me from being happy? But I think that, like, humanity in and of itself, they're always seeking to be happy. You brought up comfort. I love that word because I hate that word. Comfort is the enemy of success. You can't continue to grow and exceed your levels of success with comfort, but you can by stretching yourself. So, but it is an interesting idea and an interesting concept that in order to find happiness and to build happiness, you have to go through it to figure out what is and what isn't that happiness you seek. And in other shows and other podcasts and in other books that we've talked about specific how-tos, techniques, and strategies, and yada, yada, yada. But this is kind of an interesting one. And I really rack my brain around this one. And I've told Ian time and time again, like, this one was hard for me. This one was like pushing against friction. And I love it because it's really stretched my brain. But I love the fact that we're talking about just happiness and how failure is part of that process. And there are so many good quotes. I mean, if you just like ChatGPT or Google, inspirational quotes on happiness and failure, you're going to get endless amounts because it is truly part of the process to learn, to grow, and to do so. And I think that, and this is my belief, my philosophy of Jon is that when you are in the pursuit of happiness and you learn what truly makes you happy, the journey of failure, friction, hurdles, and challenges of holding you back is happiness as part of the process of living. Because I think without creativity, I'm circling back to my first thought here. I think without creativity, without knowledge, without being able to connect, without allowing those brain cells to connect and say, hey, like, we're growing here, I don't think that's a world we would ever desire to live in, because everything would be posh, everything would be easy, everything would be just emotionless, because we'd have everything we need. And I don't like that. Although I like my vices, I love my luxuries, I love my consistencies, I love the things that I love, and those things truly make life like worth living. But I know what it's like to not have those things. One last story, and then we'll pass it back over to you, and we can continue this conversation. I love donuts. Ian, do you love donuts?
Of course.
Okay, who doesn't love a good donut? And for all you donut lovers and haters out there, this one's for you. I recently moved to Texas, and somebody once told me, you got to go find this donut place. It's called Round Rock Donut, famous Round Rock Donut. And Round Rock is just a few minutes from my house. So I'm out and about the other day, and I remembered someone referring me to Round Rock Donut, and it was morning time, so it was perfect donut time. I was like, you know what, I can go for a donut. Let me just give it a try. And you guys, I thought I knew what happiness was until until I pull up to this famous Round Rock Donut. And I'm like, okay, it looks like there's a long line in the drive-thru. There is a walk-up stand. You can come up to the kiosk and choose from the variety that they have. But I'm going to follow the crowd here. I'm going to go to the line of cars. I'm going to get in the drive-thru, and I'm going to order donuts through drive-thru. And there was a world-famous orange infused glazed donut. And it's like the number one thing on their menu. It's like, okay, that's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try the world-famous orange infused glazed donuts. And they put it in the bag, and then I grab my order and I drive off, and I pull over, and I grab my camera, and I'm like, I just got to see, like, what if this is a huge moment for me? And then part of me is like super skeptical. But again, I'll repeat myself. I thought I was happy until I had this donut, and I realized there was an expansion of my happiness. It was a light speed moment of holy cow. Has food ever done that to you? Has an experience, as a good book, has a great drink or a great moment or a great comedian or somebody who made you feel good, have they done that for you? Like you thought you were happy until you were happy even more than you were before. And that to me is like, all right, the concept of this book is beautiful, because it shows you what could be if you had everything versus what is because you don't have everything, and because you can chase for it. And knowing what you don't know can truly be inspiring, because there's so much out there for us to grasp. All right, that was a weird way to connect it, but I got to tell you guys, my life has changed, and happiness exists because there's Round Rock Donut. Shout out to Round Rock Donut.
Okay, I need to get down there and try that. My doctor may disagree, but what does my doctor know?
I mean, are they truly happy? I'm just kidding.
That's probably true. Yeah, I mean, without donuts, I don't think you can truly be happy. But I love that idea, because there has to be something more to reach for. And there's I'll probably butcher this quote from Alexander the Great, where Alexander looked upon the breadth of his empire and wept because there were no more lands to conquer. Once you achieve the pinnacle, what do you do if there's no more pinnacle? And I think that's the great thing about being human, is there's always another one to reach. There's always something else. I don't know if there is a better donut than Round Rock, but darn it, I'm going to try them all and find out. That is a search I can get behind. But yeah, we can feel happiness. We can feel comfort. We can enjoy something. But I think we don't really enjoy it unless we've strived for it and searched for it and has taken time to get there. And that's what we appreciate. The pain it takes to get somewhere is what makes something sweeter. And that's by no means a unique thought to me or us in this group. But it's the challenges that make it sweeter. Standing on Mount Everest, if you could take a helicopter ride up there somehow, would probably not be nearly as satisfying as the ability to climb up there, and the pain to get there, and the torture on your body to say that I achieved this. Being handed a business to run is not the same satisfaction as growing a business to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole purpose of this. And I know why you and I do what we do, because we love the pain, and we know that the success is going to be so much sweeter because we went through this pain, because we struggled, because we hurt, because we failed. We learned, and we're saying, I did this, I accomplished this. And it's accomplishing, it's not having. Having is, I don't have a word for what just having is. It's just there. Yeah. But accomplishing it, that builds us up. That makes us become who we are. So I'm going to finish on that one. Go out there and accomplish something. Don't just have something, accomplish something. And feel the satisfaction, the growth, the joy that comes in your life from accomplishing that. And then tell us about it in the comments. Speaking of the comments, we would love to hear your comments as we wrap up this episode of Champion Reads. Again, brought to you by Champion Circle, online community of like-minded achievers, entrepreneurs. I don't know if I say free thinkers, that opens up a little bit more than we may want to, but thinkers, people who want to achieve, people who work together to help each other in that community. You can find out more about us at mychampioncircle.com. So please look us up there. We'd love to have you try out one of our online roundtable meetings. Also, please, if you enjoy what you've heard today, if this has helped to open your mind a little bit, expand and give you some new ideas, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. Like and subscribe to us. We are on all the major platforms and a good number of minor platforms as well. So if we are not on your platform of choice, please change platforms so that you can follow us more easily.
Yeah, you change.
So with that, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.